Welcome to the finished game experience of Mechanicus. I am your Warlord Mal, and today we'll be playing as the Tech Priests of Mars, investigating a Necron world in this squad-based combat game. The game opens with a conversation between a long-dead Magos and a Magos who's currently living on Mars, with an alert that he should investigate a Necron planet. Magos Vestinius gathers everyone aboard the Casus Metallicon, an exploratory war barge, and sets off to Silva Tenebris. The ship is full of different characters, each with their own goals. These goals come in the form of missions. As you complete each mission, these missions will unlock pieces of loot that go with a particular playstyle. Scaevola, for example, is a Xenorite tech priest, obsessed with acquiring Necron technology, so she'll award higher-end energy weapons. Meanwhile, Kepra is a subdominus of the Secutors. Those are the ground troops of the Mechanicus. So, pursuing her missions will grant you better troops. So let's dive right in. We're going into the tutorial mission, which is called the Threshold, our first deployment. As we explore the Necron tomb, various characters such as Videx will warn us against pursuing Necron technology. However, it can be quite lucrative as we scrutinize it. And see, we'll get Blackstone, which is the reward we'll use to purchase upgrades for our tech priests and get better troops. Red figurines in the way mean that there are Necron troops we must face. Alright everybody, for the Omnissiah. Whenever we get into a battle, we're brought into a tactical map. Whenever we see new units such as this Necron warrior, we'll have characters such as Scaevola gush about it and tell you anything that they know about such creatures. At the start of the battle, we choose deployment zones for each unit. You can start up ahead in the battle to secure an early victory, or farther behind to use superior range for your weapons. Since we don't really have too much of either, we're going to try to dominate one side of the map. At the beginning of each round, if we have any cognition points, which are the 4 little points right above our guys' main portraits, we can actually use those to summon up new units to fight for us, or save them for abilities such as firing a weapon. Cognition points can also be gained by moving up to certain points of the terrain that store Necron data. You can also gain them by using a servo skull on those points. The servo skull will go up and scan it, give you the point in return. If you use the servo skull on a Necron, you'll be shown its armor, such as how much energy armor and physical armor it has. So it pays to have different types of damage on weapons so you can deal with the different threats, as each Necron is randomized. Now that we have enough CP, let's use our big gun. Bam! Nuked that Necron. So this next Necron has physical armor, so he's not going to go down to our macro stubber. But that's okay, we'll get him on the next one. One useful thing is if you start your turn next to a cognition point generator, you'll collect those points automatically. Then, on our reinforcement round, we can call in troops. These servitors are very cheap, and they also generate cognition upon being hit. So let's bring one in and just slap the shit out of this Necron. Any unit that moves away from a unit that has a melee weapon will provoke an attack of opportunity. As you can see, free damage, so you can easily set up harassing units. I love that. As Redditus explains right here, our cohort's HP carries out from each fight within a mission, so it pays to heal up all your troops as best you can and to get all your resources in line before advancing. Otherwise, you'll enter the next fight all wounded, and that sucks. Also, wounded tech priests take up Blackstone at the end of the mission to be healed. That's another reason to really take your time, make sure you're good before ending things. So as we explore, true to tech priest form, we go ahead and burn down some sarcophagi, and we get rewarded for it. And after clearing that chamber, it's time for our second fight. So in our second fight, I'm going to go ahead and start off with a swarm of servitors on the right-hand side, just to completely overwhelm that Necron, and also generate some CP for our tech priests to use their weapons. Some terrain generates more than 1 point of CP. If you move your tech priest up to it, you'll recover all the points that are in it. There's also a specialization that you can use to recover all the points with just a servo skull. As our servitors advance, the Necrons respond with fire, which gives us even more cognition points. As you can see, wherever I move my mouse in a position, there will be an icon above the Necron, and that means that our weapon is in range. So that way you can tell if your weapon is going to function from the position you're going to move to. Yeah, eat it! The Necrons go ahead and return fire at us, those bastards. And then some Canoptek Scarabs rise up from their ports. These things deal a little bit of damage, but they inflict a nasty status effect called Acid. Our Our servitors make some quick work of the Necron warriors, and they're going to swarm these scarabs. It's kind of ironic. Whenever you enter melee combat, your ranged weapons will be disabled, but that's okay, because the Magos' power axe is just as good. And with that, the mission is complete. Rooms with a glowing diamond mean that these are important to finishing the mission. For example, this room hacks Scaevola with Necron technology, and also causes the awakening of Agrelek, the Void Admiral. Captrix is the Prime Hermeticon. She is responsible for giving you all the missions that result in fighting bosses. And as you can see here, she says the hunt is on, and indeed it is. With this fight, we simply have to escape from the Xeno tomb. So we start off, and we're going to split up our two tech priests here, taking advantage of the ability to spend cognition to move further. I summon up some servitors just to distract the Void Admiral, as he'll crush our tech priests as they are right now. And meanwhile, our tech priests gather up some cognition so they can quickly run away. There's some light Necron guards on the sides, so we just try to get in melee with them to harass them into backing off. I get in some good shots, but nothing that's life-threatening. And they don't even have their opportunity attacks unlocked for them just yet. Just to give you a taste of Agrelek's power, here he is murdering 2 servitors. 1 hit kills. Meanwhile, our tech priests are one step closer here to get into the escape zone. There we go, spending that cognition. And here comes our last one. We have just enough cognition to get him into the escape zone. Perfect. After each mission, we'll have banter between the different leader characters, such as Videx and Scaevola, who are constantly going back and forth on whether capturing of the Xeno technology is right or wrong. Scaevola is pretty flavorful, though. If intelligence gain equals true, then go to victory. Of course, Videx always says better in ignorance than in heresy, because he doesn't want to be corrupted. And of course, Faustinius breaks it up every time. And so we start in the Acropus sector of the Tomb World. Each sector is harder than the last one, and each one has a boss that Captrix will send us to fight. Additionally, after each mission, we will wake up a certain percentage of the Necron world. Once you reach 100%, you must fight the Overlord Zaragon. And when we're not in a mission, we can upgrade our tech priests in 6 different disciplines. I'm going to go with 2 Secutors. They are the Magos that control the troops the best. I love them for their abilities to call in reinforcements, and to actually have their troops attack when it's not their turn. You have to play for position a lot more, but I believe it's way worth it. And here we go, our 2 Secutors are born. Secutor Ghost and Secutor Malcav. And so here you can click on any character that has a particular mission. This is where the special loot will come from. Now Videx has a little bit better options here. I love the Volkite Blaster and the Claw that heals, so we're going to go with him. And so here's the deployment screen. Here we'll select our 2 Magoses, and we actually can customize what's called Canticles. Canticles are one-time use buffs. They can either heal, increase damage, ignore armor, and this is also where you determine how many troops we can bring, so such as the Servitors. As you can see, there's quite a variety of troops to unlock. So this mission is purely for Videx to go and install a blessed sensor of incense down here to get rid of any Xeno corruption, to boost troop morale. Scaevola, of course, gets after him by saying that this is a waste of resources and go to the Augmetic Bay for immediate, diagnostics. Videx tries to defend himself, but he just comes off looking ridiculous. As Faustinius says, most poetic. So how do we do this? And so here we are, on the first real deployment, the Winds of Change. In our first room over here, as we're traveling, our sensor servitor falls through the floor. We use magnetism to try to lift it up, but that damages one of our battle servitors. My goal is to hit as many of these glyph rooms as I can. These will actually be able to provide a lot of blackstone for us, which is obviously amazing for upgrading our priests. As we're traveling, the Necrons become aware of our presence. As we go through a tomb, we'll of course awaken more and more Necrons. They'll be able to include more Necrons in battle and reanimate faster. It can quickly escalate out of control if you spend too much time really wandering around. Contrary to what Videx wants us to do, we take pictographs of a constellation room, netting us some CP for our next battle. In the next room, we excise a servitor that's talking to us philosophically. This actually works out and gives us an energeia enhancer, which is extra energy damage. more necrons awaken to battle us in the next encounter. It's time for the big finale of the mission. Let's go. Our priests are going to need all the help they can get, so I bring out 2 servitors. I rush my priest forward ahead to get the Blackstone, but that kind of is going to be a mistake here, putting my priest in this much danger with this low of health and no armor. But I delayed my servitors, so they should be able to come save me. Meanwhile, the other tech priest is going to take the long way around to get the other scanning panel. The necrons waste no time in getting first strike. And that tech priest is getting dangerously low. I move the servitors up, and my tech priest is shunted over to the other panel. Thanks to the way initiative works, my delay worked out in my favor. I moved him up at the end of last turn, and he gets to act first at the beginning of this turn, netting us the ability to harass him with opportunistic attacks. I pepper him with some light fire, and then move him into melee to harass him with the power axe. Some more necrons wake up at the end of our turn. And finally, we get the payoff we wanted, collecting a bunch of Blackstone with our wounded tech priest. The necrons retaliate quickly, moving in against my other tech priest. Oh, but we get our revenge, a double opportunity attack, one with our power axe and the next one is a critical from our badass servitor. Right in the middle of the battle, extra necrons have been awarded to the enemy. I make use of our meager cognition points and summon up some extra reinforcements, and then it's time to move in position and claw our way to victory. Big machine spirit hit right there, that was awesome. With only one more necron on the battlefield, I move the rest of our servitors into position and prepare to take down some panels. If you destroy panels, it can actually decrease the amount of awareness that you have on a level. The last necron moves up and gets his licks in. And then we move up and get ours. Servitor moves into club, going golfing with necron heads. I love the camera angles you can get for the executions in this game. Alright. Done. Oh man, so Vidix at the end of this mission is super proud of his smoke emitting machine. And Faustinius says, yeah, I don't know if it made anything less dangerous, but at least the place stinks less. So this is the results of Mission 1. We have a 3% Awakened Tomb, killed some Necrons, got the Volkite Blaster, the healer. Overall, pretty good. As we go forward in missions, I'm going to be including a little bit less detail and more focusing on just some of the story parts, changes to my battle regimen, that kind of thing. We won't be as nitty and gritty, but I'll still show the blow-by-blow accounts for the battles to keep it interesting for you. Cool. And we got a new Canticle, which, again, Canticles are one-time buffs you can use to really get out of some sticky situations. Let's keep going. We're about 1 hour into the game at this point. So our next big upgrade is the Tech's Auxilium's Cognition Freedom, to lower the cost of the big guns by 2 cognition points. The Volkite Blaster is going to be lowered by 2 points. That's why we're kind of grabbing this for both of our Secutors. So that means that by the time we get the Machine Spirit's cost for it, which is only 1 CP, we'll be able to lay Mayhem down quite often. Let's do a mission for Scaevola, known as the Killing Jar. This will allow us to get a healing mechadendrite that doesn't cost any cognition points. We're going to go ahead and take our Tech Priests and load up on Servitors. Let's go. Scaevola just wants this world for its Necron secrets, which Videx actually knows and picks up on, but Scaevola tells him, your assertion is false. If objection concerns offense, go to different mission. Faustinius makes a comment about this being worth the lives of his men, and that we're not just risking servitors, we're risking the men and women who are the devotees of the cult Mechanicus, which Kepler agrees with. Scaevola, of course, says, just make sure you return their human corpses as well. We want to study the effects of Necron technology on human flesh. Such a warm, caring person, this Scaevola. So first up, we discover a Skitarii corpse, which nets us some CP and increases the awakening level. Next up, we discover a room with a bunch of Necron devices we attempt to study, but it hurts one of our tech priests, which ironically enough, we discover a glyph room that heals that damage we took. The enemy gets some extra Necrons in battle. We then discover another glyph room that hurts our servitors. We continue to book it across the room, studying each Necron device as we go. We then acquire some Scarabs, which then nets us some Blackstone and some CP. Time for our first battle. So for our first battle, we drop in our 4 servitors. We make use of Cognition Freedom to lower the cost of our Volkite Blaster, and then let it rip. I advance the other tech priest and let loose another Volkite. Then we advance our servitors so they can take the brunt of the fire and give us that sweet CP to fuel more Volkite fury. Bring it, Necron. Move our tech priest over and we get some sweet Blackstone. Before that Necron warrior can reanimate, I have a servitor crush its corpse. The Necron still manages to kill one of our servitors. We let loose some more Volkite fury on it, but it's still standing, and the scarabs are coming right behind it. We sick our servitors on the scarabs, bashing them to little pieces. We repair our servitors so they can take a little more abuse, and crush that Necron. I move my servitor into place so they can harass the scarabs, but they don't deal quite enough damage to kill it, and they get acid inflicted onto them. Each time they end their turn, they'll take 1 point of damage now. Meanwhile, more Necrons have woken up. Time to deal with them. And our other tech priest gets the kill. And that is the end of that fight. And Scaevola is super excited to have bodies with Necron gauze weapon scars on it. We also get the arc pistol, which is pretty cool, especially with the energeia enhancers. Think about considering employing that in the future with a dual pistol build. And here we go, post-mission results, not bad. 3 Necron warriors, 2 scarabs, awoken the tomb a little bit, and we got our healing mechadendrite. I go ahead and snag the Secutor gloves, which give a 20% critical chance and a little bit of extra HP for both of our Secutors. To get some better troops and a scanner for more cognition, we're going to go ahead and do our Master's Voice deployment. I also go ahead and grab some canticles that increase physical damage. That'll be good for our servitors and any melee damage we get involved with. In the deployment My Master's Voice, Faustinius is saying, "Why is the spreading of the incest not enough?" in Videx. And Videx is saying, "Oh, the malevolence of the Necron is overwhelming!" And then he says, "Alright, so what do you suggest?" Well, we're going to go install a bunch of prayer systems to blast the Necrons with our scripture. Lingua Technis prayers. Now, this is really all about boosting the morale of the troops, which that's what Videx really should say, but instead he's just like churching it up a bit. And so here we go, deployment number 3, Our Master's Voice. As we move through, we awaken the Necrons a little bit, get some cognition mechadendrite, awaken some extra Necrons for battle, snag some Blackstone, and pick a fight with the Necrons while we're at it. So in this mission we encountered the Canoptek Acanthrite. It inflicts acid and tries to steal cognition as much as possible. Not really that big of a threat, I think that warriors are still more dangerous, but the acid damage over time can definitely kill you. So we also encounter Flayed Ones. These are melee troops that don't have much health, don't do much damage, but they mostly are there to harass you and disable you from using ranged weapons. My opening move is to nuke this Flayed One. I didn't start with very much CP, so I'm going to try to secure more so we can afford some servitors on the following turns, as I know more Necrons are coming. There goes that bastard Acanthrite stealing CP from us, and Necrons are reanimating 1 turn faster. On the following turn I can finally afford some servitor reinforcements. I smack the Flayed Ones up good, and the Necrons retaliate. I retreat my priest because I don't have a melee weapon just yet. Another Flayed One joins the party, along with another Necron warrior. I respond by bringing in 2 more servitors. Go ahead and play whack-a-mole with the Flayed One, downing him with Machine Spirit, and then start working on the Necrons. Little sandbagging actions in order. And we gotta prevent them from reanimating, so we bash their corpses. Meanwhile, the Necrons know they have to withdraw, but we get an opportunity attack. We still get to back up and retaliate, but that just gives us more CP for our Volkite blasters. And then we heal up the servitor. There you go, little buddy. The Necrons are on the run at this point, and our servitors again can just soak up the fire. They're expendable. It's okay. The servitors get their revenge. But I think the Necrons get the last say with the servitor. I love the way the Volkite blaster looks. Alright fellas, let's wrap this up. Servitors finish up with a beautiful kill. Oh, that was cool. And that's it for the fight. So for the mission we choose Volume Level Gamma for our Prayer Blaster. It shakes the entire structure, decreasing initiative and lowering awareness, but it doesn't matter, because this mission is over. And we collect our rewards from Videx, which is our Vanguard Alpha, the scanner, and some tasty Blackstone. Of course, it costs us a little bit to repair our guys. Oh well, that's okay. Our next major upgrade here is Command Fire for both Malkav and Ghost. This is going to allow them to command any units that can attack a target to open fire without any cost of an action. I also go ahead and give them the healing Mechadendrites. Those don't cost any cognition, and they only have a cooldown of 3 turns, so 4 points of free healing. I love that. Our next mission is to help Kepra bomb out parts of the Necron tomb in order to help the Skitarii fight better. In exchange, she's going to give us access to our first ranged troop. I think right now I'm going to keep all servitors because that gives us the CP we need for our big guns. Before the mission starts, Faustinius goes over how some Magoses can choose to excise the emotional centers of their brain. Kepra's glad that Faustinius never went under this. I thought this was a cool addition to the Mechanicus lore. Welcome to Deployment 4, everybody. Consolidation. For events, nothing really happened. We got some Blackstone, there's going to be some extra Necrons, they'll reanimate a little bit faster, but overall we're just heading into fight. We begin in a room where we're surrounded on all sides, especially by the Canoptic Scarabs. Luckily I had so much CP from the start that we get all of our reinforcements. This is going to help. The Necrons having an initiative order definitely helps them soften up our troops. Acid gets all over our guys. So we begin the task of cleaning up the Scarabs, and healing some of the damage they've caused. After buffing our servitors with our servo skulls, our servitors can move into range, deal some damage. A platform arrives at the beginning of next turn, bringing some flayed ones to the party. Clean up the Necron warrior, and the Scarabs. And then we get to make use of Kill Command. Both the servitors go ahead and bash its brains in. It's time to clean up the battlefield a little bit so these bastards don't resurrect themselves, and that includes the Scarabs. More Necrons rise from their grave. I send my servitors up to greet them. Time to rain hell. The Necrons really don't want to give up this part of the tomb. I want to draw out the Necrons because we're a little bit low on CP. Plus, gotta get this Blackstone. So the tech priest's behind everybody. The servitors move up. Hopefully the Necrons take the bait. We get some free CP from servitor wounds and we can finish them off. Unfortunately, I don't get to this guy in time. He reanimates and takes his free shot. And here comes the Necrons. With the CP from the servitors, it's time to get revenge. The Necron's still making short work here of the servitors. Die, motherfuckers. And it appears the Necrons feel the same way about me. Last one. Oh, boom! Yes, and it is over. So Kepra thanks Faustinius, and Faustinius says he gets dismay and anger whenever a Skitarii is described as disposable, because they were talking about how Skitarii are just ground troops. So that's a pretty cool part of the Mechanicus to show that there still is a human core underneath all that steel. And so, here we are at the end of the mission. We got our Skitarii Ranger, an additional tech priest, and Blackstone. Did quite a bit of work in this tomb. So at this point we're about 2 hours into the game. Not too bad. Our tech priests are well on their way to being killing machines. Great commanders. We go ahead and unlock the Secutor helm for Ghost and Malkav. This will allow them to have some energy armor, which most Necrons do energy damage. Our next mission is Protection Detail. I really want to get the Skitarii Ranger Alpha, which is an incredible melee troop, along with an additional deployment slot. I don't quite have the Blackstone to take any advanced troops with me, so we load up the Arvis Lighter with our usual complement. Subdominus Kepra alerts us that an Oculus Topographus has been lost along with a Skitarii unit. They're trapped behind Necron enemy lines. Our job is to go get them. Welcome to Deployment 5, Protection Detail. Along the way, nothing too significant happens other than some CP and some extra Necrons that are going to join the battle. And so we encounter the Necron Immortal. It has an AoE weapon and is generally tougher. The Necron Immortal can stand up to several Volkite blasts. The Immortal's Tesla weapon hits hard on the person it strikes, but the main reason I fear it so much is the movement reduction it has. So really this battle had 3 phases here. Kill the Necron Immortal with Volkites, get rid of the Necron warriors below as servitors, and then kill the Necrons on the far side of the bridge. So, we successfully defend the last Secutors unit and recover the Oculus Topographus. So, we complete the mission and get our rewards here. The Secutors Ranger and additional deployment slot. Alright. We also get a pretty important canticle that unlocks all of our machine spirits and our weapons. And we find the Ubjao sector. Yes. So Captrix, the primer Mechanicus, has found the first boss, the Void Admiral Agrelek. We need to beef up a little bit before we face him, but oh, I'm gonna relish taking him down. He's an interesting encounter. It's at this point that we're 3 hours into the game. The tomb is 20% awakened. Let's keep going. I upgrade Malkav and Ghost with Command. It gives us the ability to buff damage or armor with our troops. We also equip each of them with the Arc Pistol, just as a nice range upgrade. So we take on Kepra's mission for containment. This will be having us face down a bunch of flayed ones. Kepra and Festinius discuss the troops' morale decreasing due to flayed ones wearing Skitarii faces and just the ungodly stench of the tomb that follows them. So it's time to kill them all, raise the morale of the Skitarii. The Necrons will get extra forces and reanimate faster in this next battle. Let's go. This map is very interesting. There's 2 islands, both with flayed ones on it. Now, as we're employing a lot of ranged weapons, we've got to keep these things at bay. Our arc pistols are extremely useful in this mission as they do AoE damage. And here they come, more flayed ones. And they really employ their strengths well, swarming around our tech priests. I do everything I can to keep them away from our Skitarii Ranger. I even have to provoke an opportunity attack just to kind of get that breathing room I need. But those arc pistols are doing work. And so does the Volkite. We make use of that canticle to boost the damage of our Skitarii Rangers. Luckily, we killed a lot of them from the first wave, but the second wave is not that big of a deal. They stopped just short of being able to rake their claws across us. They still get in their licks, though. Time to die, assholes. Oh, and I love these kind of shots in the arc pistol. Alright. 3 more flayed ones join us in battle. Something pretty interesting is the size of the arc pistol whenever they have machine spirit. Look at that AoE. It is just absolutely massive. Towards the end, we're getting swarmed a little bit. But I feel we mop up pretty nicely. And that is pretty much it for that mission. We get the heavy arc rifle, better servitors, and some blackstone. So we go ahead and equip Malkav and Ghosts with some extra movement pants from the Secutor. And we're going to do Scavola's mission, The Works of the Enemy. That's to get the extra cognition slot here. That's the big win. I also trade out some of our canticles here. I want the one with the machine spirit so we can have those huge AoEs. So in the Works of the Enemy deployment, Scavola is inquiring about the new Necron warform that we've discovered, which is the Necron Destroyer. Faustinius says he will allow her to investigate and try to capture a specimen. Videx, of course, is not too happy about this and says this is tech heresy. Welcome to deployment number 7, The Works of the Enemy. And so we encounter the Destroyer in this mission. The Destroyer is unique. It goes twice in a single round, once at the beginning and once at the end. This can be very dangerous, not only because does his weapon hit pretty hard, but if you have faster reanimation enabled, it's possible for you to kill him and for him to resurrect himself at the end of the round. My goal is to lure the destroyer around the corner and surround it with servitors and deal the death blow with a Volkite blaster. Anticipating that the Necron destroyer is going to attack us, most likely our troops, I buff the armor of our troops, and that pays off. And here's where command fire pays off in spades. Take a double shot, you asshole. We kind of lucked out. This destroyer did not have any heavy energy armor, so he's going to go down pretty quickly. He still gets in his licks, though. Twice, in fact. Now it's time to bring him down. And yes, destruction is the destiny of all Xenos. After that, it's just a simple mop-up mission. And so Scaevola does not acquire her Necron Destroyer because, of course, it teleports away. However, we do get an extra cognition slot. And so, we're about 4 hours into the game here, and our strategy's starting to take effect. What I want to build for is 2 arc pistols and energy enhancer canisters. That way we can have a lot of AoE damage that's easily boostable. We just gotta solve the CP problem. So it's time to change strategies. We're going to do dual arc pistols with the energy enhancers. This is going to give us a lot of area damage. So one pistol can potentially do up to 5 points of damage with both of these suckers activated. For 1 CP cost, I consider that a huge win. Higher tiers of energy enhancers are going to cost 2 and 3, so we need that Dominus upgrade to reduce the cost of the CP. Alright, it's time to go on a treasure hunt for Miss Scaevola. She wants us to find this little Necron artifact she's been talking so much about. It's actually the start of her quest. This should allow you to finish the game for the Scaevola ending, which is the mother of the Xenorites. So this is what I consider to be the toughest enemy in the game, the Deathmark. He is a teleporting sniper. Whenever he's hit by any attack, he will teleport to a random location on the map, and his Overwatch ability will reset. Overwatch allows him to fire whenever somebody moves within his area of Overwatch. So he's really tough. Case in point, he starts first, he hits us, and then he's going to teleport away here. There he goes. And sets up Overwatch again. This is a perfect example of why I hate Deathmarks. The guy shot us first, gets to shoot us again because he teleported right into our starting area. So I'm going to try to get some cover by moving away here, and we'll deal with him. So we slide to the other side of the map, thank you very much. As we move into cover, we take some live fire, and Mr. Asshole teleports again right into our position. I'll set up Overwatch right here. And he nails our Scutari. Our current strategy really is just CP starved by this map, so we have to use the Blessing of the Omnicide to get that CP for our energy enhancers and using our pistols. But here we go, we pop both of those bad boys. Oh yeah. 5 to 6 damage with 5 area damage, that is beautiful. Yes. Alright. We have to sandbag a little bit. And then I figured we might as well go all out, make this mission easy, taming the machine spirit. Yeah. Blast him, guys. And then Mortal gets his return shot. Ow. The Deathmarks do have one weakness, and that is melee. Now, if you hit them, they will teleport away, but you can actually stop them from getting those double actions like you've been seeing them do in this map. Unfortunately, I'm not that smart, and I whack him anyways, and he sets up in a better location, far away from anybody that can hurt him. Jerk. Man, I hate this guy. Anyways, it's at this point that we kind of repair and shut down the remaining enemies and do pretty good. So, let's move on to the next battle. In the next battle, I only had really one thing to show off, and there was this shot. This was hilarious looking with the ragdoll physics. But this just shows the true power of the arc pistols. This is amazing. And that is it for this mission. And thus the treasure hunt is over. We get our loot, our blackstone. It was a tough mission with those fucking Deathmarks, man, tell you what. It's at this point that we're about 5 hours into the game. We've encountered a large variety of enemies. We're starting to build our strategy. We just need to solve the CP cost of the energy enhancers. Back at the Casus Metallicon, we outfit for Lock and Key. This is a mission for Scaevola. She's researching what this Xeno artifact does. Again, this is for the Mother of Xenorites ending, which we're not going to pursue, but still pretty cool. I get lucky and find the Incendine Combustor on the mission site. For the first battle, we encounter our Triarch Praetorian. This guy's not as dangerous as he looks. He can jump anywhere on the map, and his melee attacks can hurt, but again, he's not that dangerous. So here we can see the Praetorian in action. He can jump and lock down troops that don't have melee weapons. Luckily, all of ours do, so he's just going to do a little bit of damage that we can easily heal through. Not that big of a deal. We easily bring him down with a swarm of servitors. Yeah. Fight number 2 brings an opponent which I think is kind of underused in this game, the Necron Lord. It has a powerful melee attack and the ability to heal all other Necrons around him, even reanimate them. So he has a large health pool. He should have been featured a lot more, I feel like. As you can see here, the Necron Lord begins his turn by summoning a repair AoE effect. And that thing will heal all the Necrons. Then he strides forward at a decent measure. As you can see, here's like the size of the AoE of the heal. But its melee attack is not that scary. Die, Necrons. So that is the end of that mission. Faustinius ends it by interrogating Scaevola with, how important is this artifact? And she just tells him, hey, if it wasn't important, the Omnicide wouldn't have set us on this path. Typical dogma that frustrates the lead Magos. So that's the end of Lock and Key. Encountered a couple new enemies, and we did get a healing Mechadendrite out of it, which is an upgrade to ours, so that's good. So we're about 6 hours into the game at this point. Everything's going smoothly and our strategy is coming together. Let's keep going. In order to maximize our damage, I'm going to grab the Dominus Gloves to give +1 to energy damage. That's really going to help us out a bunch. Next up, I finish Memories of the Void, which gives us a cognition gauge increase. And as you can see here, I forgot to equip the gloves. That should be 4 to 5 damage, not 3 to 4. Whoops. And as you can see, that mission was not that big of a challenge. And we go ahead and get our cognition point upgrade. Yeah. So now it's time for our first boss fight, the Void Admiral Agrelek. So it's as simple as Captrix has located him, let's go kill him. Welcome to deployment number 11, the Void Admiral. As we navigate towards Agrelek, we learn about the Destroyers. They believe that all life should be expunged from the galaxy, even their own. They hate everything, including themselves. It's pretty crazy. I get lucky, finding 3 CP before the big fight. Code Venator is in full effect, everybody. Let's kill Agrelek, the biggest shit talker this side of the galaxy. Now, I don't know why Agrelek is just chilling on the ground like this, sleeping. What the hell? The terrain is not difficult. Actually, it's beneficial to us. As you can see, it's a lot of narrow corridors, but they're all open, so we can take a lot of potshots at Agrelek as we move towards him. Agrelek has a unique ability called Nightmare Shroud that switches his armor from protecting against physical to energy damage. We just have to catch him at the right moment where he switches from energy to physical and then nail him. He has a death mark with him, which is going to make this fight slightly annoying. We've got to take him out before he makes mincemeat of all of our troops and Magos. Here, Agrelek switches energy to physical. So now we just hit him with all of our energy weapons. So I decided to delay a turn, to maximize our machine spirit here, and also to swarm him with servitors. Get a lot of cheap damage on him, because he's going to switch to energy again next round. Oh yeah, buddy, get swarmed by servitors. I then buff them all up with some powerful attacks, and then use command fire to have all the servitors beat the shit out of him. And then we pop all the good stuff for that extra energy damage on our priests. Beat the shit out of that death mark. And pound Agrelek. And then it's time to refuel our CP gauge. You're going down, Agrelek. And that is the success of killing Agrelek. We get the final tier of the energy enhancers, which is awesome. So at this point, we're about 7 hours into our playthrough. First boss down. Let's keep moving on through and clearing this Necron world. So one thing we want to protect against is energy damage, and this Dominus Torso does exactly that. So at this point, I'm just trying to mine Blackstone to get enough to afford that energy enhancer decrease from the Dominus tree. So we're just going to do Plague Wind. We easily mop up the hordes of flayed ones and get our additional slot for deployment and extra Blackstone. Then we grab Angered Spirit, which gives +2 damage whenever we have a Machine Spirit activation on weapons. The next mission is Radiation Burns for Roe. We're doing this for the Blackstone. The Arc Pistol's so good. And so another mission complete. Mopping up. And I was mistaken before. This next mission is where we get the Energy Enhancer Tier 3. That gives us +4 energy damage for 1 round to all energy attacks. Heavy metal it is then, Ro. So, the second battle of heavy metal is pretty intense. We're surrounded on all sides by heavy-hitting Necrons. On top of that, look at the initiative list. They're all going first. We're about to eat a lot of God's fire. In fact, we're so slow, the destroyer gets to go twice before I even get to go once. But we destroy them all anyways. Beware the wrath of the Omnissiah. Beautiful. There we go. We got the completing piece of our strategy. Got a ton of Blackstone. We are well on our way to kicking some ass. 9 hours into our game, and we're going strong. We're going to steamroll the rest of these bosses, I have a feeling. And Zaragon, he better pray to his Necron gods. So, after a fair amount of grinding, we get enhanced enhancers. Gotta love that Mechanicus term. And then we upgrade the energy enhancers, or the energeia, however you want to pronounce it. And now it's time to take on what I consider to be the most challenging secondary boss, the Lord Astronomer Acropus. The Necron Varguard has a decent amount of health and defense, but what makes it so useful in this game is that it can protect its allies by swapping places with them if they're attacked. Since I'm lucky enough to be faster than Acropus, I go ahead and scout him out with a Servo Skull. Finding out that he has 5 energy armor, that means we're really going to have to pump out the damage and probably use Servitors to lay this guy out. Knowing that the Varguards are going to swap when we attack him, I don't really power up any of my attacks. We just pelt him with some light energy weapons. The Varguards continue to swap as we just slam him with all sorts of energy attacks. Acropus can hit a little harder, but his main offensive ability is Endless Legions, which continually summons up Necron warriors to aid him. So in response, I summon a boatload of Servitors. Varguard do some light harassing. Acropus makes an example of a Servitor. I am determined to wear out the Varguard's ability to teleport and rescue Acropus. More harassment from the Varguard. We're getting a little low. It's time to beef up our weapons. Unleash the Machine Spirits. I start laying into Acropus. Yes, no one's gonna save you this time. Time to juice up again. I heal up here as we're about to take 2 hits of opportunity. That's gonna hurt. Then we juice up the energy enhancers and unleash hell. And that's it. He is done. The Lord Astronomer is no more, and we get a big fat stack of redstone and reduced troop deployment costs by 30%, which doesn't really matter because we're only using Servitors for this run anyways. Acropus taught me a valuable lesson. We need a better power axe so that we can shred energy armor a lot more reliably. Well, it's back to grinding for Blackstone. We're going to go ahead and try to get some canticles for the Tech Priest to use more often, just like we have on the troops, so let's do Carrion Crew. The mission goes extremely well, and we get a new power axe, which is awesome, shredding 3 energy armor with it. Our next objective is to unlock Bless for extra damage or armor for our tech priests. So, we're about 10 hours in at this point. Let's keep going and see if we can't pick a fight with Ubjao. So starting off, we grab a new +2 energy armor helmet, and we're going to switch out the energy enhancers to the maximum +4 variant. And Captrix has been very busy. She has unlocked the Corrupted King. Ubjao, we're allowed to hunt him down. So, Ubjao is at the top of a couple long winding stairways. I feel like it's going to be pretty easy just to have our tech priests run up to him, expending a bunch of cognition, and waste him, specifically because he has no armor. And so that's what we do, provoking opportunity attacks along the way, but giving no fucks at all. Time to reduce the cognition bar. Take a smack. Scope out Ubjao. No armor confirmed. Low health pool. Activate the enhancer, and unleash the fury of the Omnissiah. I race up the other tech priest, maximize the machine spirits, and this plasma burst should bring him down. Well, so much for the Corrupted King. His weakness was definitely rushing him, and he has no armor. Maybe if he had more armor and more flayed ones, or even some Varguard that could help swap him out just a couple times. I feel like he might be a harder boss fight. You have to take your time. And we get a fat stack of Blackstone and more cognition as our reward. At this point, I am just waiting to take on Zaragon, the last boss of the game. I have everything I need to be victorious. So, I'm just going to grind through a couple missions. Grave Goods is first. Destruction is the destiny of all Xenos. And that mission is a success. Alright. The next mission is Relic Reclamation. Welcome to deployment number 19. This one is an interesting mission. We're recovering some Castellan robots. These are ancient cybernetic relics from the age of Iron Men. They mean a lot to the Mechanicus, so we have to recover one that somehow got lost. In our first battle, we encounter the Cryptek. This is a ranged support unit. It can heal other Necron, it can bring them back from the dead. It can also hurt pretty bad with its staff. We also encounter the Lich Guard. This is the toughest unit in the game in regards to soaking damage. He can take a lot of firepower, either energy or physical. Also, when you hit him, he will move towards you. If he gets in melee range, you're in for a nasty physical damage attack. Luckily, these Lich Guard are specialized towards physical damage, at least this one is. So, by using our boosted energy weapons, we lure them closer to us and destroy them, just like every other Necron. And the damn Cryptek comes over and resurrects the Lich Guard we just killed. And then a wall goes up behind them, so we're trapped with this damn thing. I liked this in later levels. They really had a great sense of puzzles and working with the level. I really wish that they had shown this sort of design a little earlier in the game. But still, regardless, it's there and it's still good. Goodbye, Lich Guard. Goodbye, Cryptek. On the next battle of this mission, I actually was able to pin down a destroyer in the corner with servitors who just took their time beating the shit out of it. This is the best. Unlike a lot of other missions where you're trying to find something, we were actually able to find the castle, and as you can see right here. That was cool. Missed opportunity for Scaevola here. Rose says, this is as the Omnissiah wills it. All is for use as a weapon in the war against ignorance. Dude, where was Scaevola? She should have said we should use the castle in Unvidix then. Come on, that was a key moment. And thus ends another great mission, chock full of rewards. Thank you, Ro. Both Videx and Scaevola have the start of their endgame missions available, Absolute Power and Upon the Threshold. However, I'm going to fight Zaragon himself, so I have to wait for Captrix to identify that high-value target so that Code Venator Omega can be in effect. So most likely, we're 1 or 2 missions away from fighting Zaragon. At this point in the game, we're 11 hours in, and we're going for the Blackstone Medal in the Necron Olympics. And so it's at rank 20 we get Bless. Yes! So let's grind missions until we get Zaragon. Psychological Ops, you're up. Well, that was fun. Done and done. And so we have access to the Twilight of the Gods mission. We'll fight Zaragon and all the other bosses we haven't conquered, such as Neftusk and Melob. Our first objective is to down Neftusk, since he has 15 of each armor, so I bring in 3 servitors to kill one of his little support pylons on the right-hand side of the map. Meanwhile, our tech priests will handle what's on the left-hand side. Each of these has between 20 and 30 health, so it'll take a few turns. Melob is kind of annoying in that he drains the cognition bar at the start of every turn he has. Otherwise, he doesn't have any other abilities. And Neftusk, he just has a strong melee attack and he's pretty tough, but other than that, he won't even be a danger to us this mission. And Neftusk takes his first hit. Boom! The servitors finish their work on their side. And here we go. Pop. Melob's a total pushover, having a small health pool and only physical damage protection. For how cool this attack looks, it should be stronger. And we cut him down to size. And here comes Mr. Badass, Zaragon. They've improved his health since the last patch, so he has, I think, 99 health now. He'll be a lot more of a threat. Our first objective is to gather up some cognition. We beef up the damage with the Mechanical. Zaragon then takes flight. And he cleaves all of our servitors. Goodbye. But at least that's 3 more cognition for us. The bastard acts like a destroyer, going at the beginning and end of turns, so he's going to put the hurt on us. We reveal his stats. Yep, 99 health. Just as we thought, no armor. This is going to be an endurance match. So we start chipping away at that health. Oddly enough, Zaragon does not have any opportunity attacks, something I think that he should have. He would be quite the threat if he did. Zaragon actually gets close to killing us. So in a desperate attempt, we summon up 3 servitors to try to distract him. Amazingly, it works. He prefers to attack 3 targets over the 1. Thank you for the cognition. Now it's our turn to inflict some pain. Dual activation of the energeia enhancers? Oh yeah. I use Bless to give us some more armor and hammer the shit out of him. We do a little sandbagging to make sure we can live long enough to kill him. Snag some cognition. Use the energy enhancers. And blast him. Zaragon starts the first of his double swings. So thankful for that armor. We'd have been dead. Time to unleash the machine spirits. Here we go, last hit. Done. And with that, Faustinius packs everyone else aboard the Caestus Metallicon for warp back to Mars. Videx and Scaevola are both very unhappy. Videx wanted this planet destroyed so that none could possess the horrific necron technology. And Scaevola wanted it for quite the opposite reason, to bring the technology back to her Xenorite order. And both of them complain to the heads that are back on Mars of both of the organizations. However, Faustinius is in charge, so it's over. I liked the end battle a lot more. Looking back on Zaragon, they did a good job increasing his health. I think Melob and Neftusk need some help, but overall, it's still a satisfying end to the game. Well, I want to thank you all for joining me on this massive journey. It took 12 hours to record the game, and probably another 5 5 to edit. So 17, 18 hours total. Not bad. I'll see you guys on the next one with more finished game experiences.